Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for March 7th, 2022. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com, and we're going to scroll down and look for this Zoom banner where we'll click here to go through to watch the SRC4u software demonstration. If you'd like to be part of Cathy's SRC4u Daily Energy Clearing Group, the information's here to register. We're going to click through. This will take us over to the Zoom platform where I'll accept. Lower the volume on your speakers as it may be loud.
We had the most interesting weekend energetically. We are still running from Friday. And I'm wondering if it's because we get our work every day no matter what. But I had a few new codes I was dowsing in. We're going to look at them again today. But look at that. We're still going, too. It's not like we're close to the end. And we're working on enhancements. So we actually do want to add a little something to our lives. And maybe that's an approach. We're still working to clear trauma. A little bit of stagnation. We seem to bring that thymus up quite a bit. So geriatric issues has been coming up on a regular basis. Or a system. So I want to show you as we went some things I was working with. And let's see if it's still, even though we've added it, let's see if it's a priority at this point for our chi at this moment in time. And then I keep playing with that sustenance balancer. And I talked with Grandmaster at Ray's service. And for those of you who weren't hearing, it could not have been more perfect. Sharon was there because she's in Sarasota. I was there, and it was amazing, and we learned a whole bunch of things about Ray we didn't know. And one of the things in the clinic he had worked at for the last 8 years, that doctor got up and spoke, and she said when Ray first came in, they thought he would be doing just a little SRC work. He ended up being really the center of the clinic. That shows what anybody can do if you find the right doctor that supports you to go in with your SRC and do this work. And we might even want to put some, cocktails together to encourage that. But anyway, what I've been trying to do here is work. We know the power of our mind, and I'm not talking when you go into power of your mind about what they call toxic positivity. You hear that in some of the Christian churches, where you're supposed to be able to manifest anything and da-da-da-da-da. It is not quite that unchallenging because we've got to have the body at a certain point in alignment, and that's our goal. We're going to go back tomorrow to the, the brain operating manual, but we've got to get the body in a state of balance if we're really going to do that. Now, we've already had this stuff doused in, and maybe that's why we're going so long, but let's just go priority or chi. And had we not been going so long, I just would have, given you this list and said just, scan it for your own purposes. All right, so we don't need any more of that at this point. Now, this is Annie sent the most interesting YouTube, and it is on a crystal that I had never heard of, larvikite, and that reverses any kind of spell that's come your way. And, that always sounds a little strange. Nobody taught this kind of stuff as we were growing up for the most part. But I'm going to tell you right now, this kind of thing is going on, and it's rampant. So an awareness, not a fear or over concern, but an awareness of its reality does not hurt. So let's just see. Now, we've got this going already, but let's just see if we want it added again. Nope. Now, this one, I've been going in when I have someone who has a health challenge. I've learned that the biggest thing I need to do is get that voltage up. When you hear people say, I did all these things, I did the SRC, I did the biofeedback, I did tapping, I did supplements, if we don't have our cellular voltage up, I don't think it's going to work. And so that I've been going in with the sustenance balancer, and really, as Grandmaster likes to say, hammer it till they're on the floor. I don't think they're on the floor, but doing all that stuff, all that water, all that food, all the way down. And, you know, I'm still kind of playing around with this sustenance balancer, but, okay, so again, we're cooking here. We're good. But I did talk with Grandmaster about two things at the service. One is this sustenance balancer stuff, which he says is exactly what he had intended it to be used as. But secondly, I said, will you come on our Zoom one of these days? We're confused about some things. For example, the QiGong panel. He said he would love to. And so after this call, I'm going to text Emily and see when we can arrange that. Now, this is an interesting code, and let's just see if this is a complete extermination of any of this stuff. Well, let's see. Again, we may not need it because we're still running, but at least you'll be familiar with it. And this is one, I've had a few people that just memorize it and chant it. No, we're good. We're good. And again, these just came from different readings. But enlightenment, again, priority for Qi. We may not need it again. We'll take that one. Now, let's go ahead and douse it in. So, from what I am seeing, enlightenment simply means we're going up in Qi, and the higher we go, the more of the really wonderful information we need, we access. It looks like any kind of stress we're living with is blocking that access, just like a poor connection on the computer. You might be, our TV or whatever might not pull in what you want. So what's been happening, we've got that. I've been then asking if we want this, and we do. We have a little bit of looks like a chronic stress. I've been making us a cocktail each day out of some of these things when it resonates. Now, we don't really need that, but we do have, since we have a little chronic, let's look at this. That's close, but let's just see. And it looks like, you know, among other things, the way you're going to reach this is through knowledge, which does involve, okay, there we go, want to charge on that. Oh, Joanna, how are we coming with Ray's book?
You brought up about the spelling, and so I've been running the thing on the spelling.
Yeah, and I need to preview it too, because I was going over to get and found a few mistakes I made.
Oh,
so
okay.
Before you release it to the public.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But anyway, you know, there's the different lists and things in that as well. Okay, so we'll take a 3-minute. Stability. Nope, don't need that. Shielded from distracting and confusing thought processes. And I was putting all these in myself at the same time. I sure needed this one. Let's see what we got as a group. Yeah, we'll take it. So we're getting hit with so much information. That's why I don't do emails for the energy group. I do need to get back to posting, and the Zooms have kind of taken the place of that. But I know I quit doing any multitasking while doing the work, and we need to really focus. See if we want the sustenance balancer.
Cathy, how's Terry doing?
You know, Terry is doing good. In fact, I'm sure she has her times, but in public, we heard, as Sharon was saying, a lot of belly laughs. And people said funny things. She still loves the humor of the words to ponder. She was very positive and very strong. And, they say that the grief, you're going to have it, but the grief, when a marriage was really bad and a lot of things were left unsaid, the grief is worse. But in their case, I may know of only one happy marriage personally, and that would be it. They even lived with me for 30 days in between houses once. That was one couple devoted to each other. And considering, you realize they only knew each other 10 days before he proposed.
That's a cool story.
Such a sweet story. And Terry had made a little movie thing. Now let's see. I want to show you. What's that, Ron?
Love at first sight.
Yep, love at first sight. Whatever they refer to as twin flames or soulmates, maybe there's a reality to that. Now let me show you this matrix stuff.
Hey, Cathy.
Yeah.
The other funny thing about that story is, of course, I didn't know, maybe most people don't know that he worked in the circus on a high wire act.
Yep.
And he went by Ray Albani or something, which was the name of the group. Mm-hmm. She didn't even know his last name.
Isn't that
he proposed to her or whatever, and she's like, "Am I going to be an Albani?" And he's like,
That's
"No,
right.
my last name is Foley." I just thought that was just hilarious.
It was well, she was only 16 years old. Yeah, that's a hoot.
Yeah. I thought she was 19.
Well, maybe I have it reversed. I thought she was 16. Maybe she was. I think she was 16 when she ran away from home.
Yeah, she had been with the circus for a little while.
Maybe that was it.
But anyway, I just thought that was hilarious. I mean, getting married after 10 days is one thing, but not even knowing it. The guy's last name, it was just a hoot. And look at the kind of relationship they had. It's amazing.
It really was amazing. And somebody said, they sure did have rough times. I said, but they had such loving togetherness.
Yeah, really. Unbelievable.
So far, you can see a lot of this has held. We're still working, and it did hold as I go down priority for Chi. But yeah, no, it was very inspirational, and I think everybody felt better for going. All right, now we're going to take this feel good. So let's look at this feel good. We're wanting that. And remember, with the power of this body-mind, if we can stay in gratitude for what we have, instead of thinking about losing it, be grateful we had it at all. And of course, gratitude for not just us, but the world having these blessings available. But a lot of people are in a different state of mind, and it's not serving them. I want to see. And I did so much sustenance balancer yesterday. We may not want any of these things again right now, but let's just see. Nope. So that looks like it holds also. I did go ahead and add damp. It doesn't really, I could affect the body mind, but it just comes up so often. And I thought we better, and again, we may not need it again. But it shows up so often. Yeah, we'll take it. So let's douse that in. That's a pretty common problem. And what I'm seeing with the sustenance balancer, if you have an issue or someone you're working with has an issue, and if you can pull up some reading material and make yourself a scan and get up every morning and scan that person for those issues, douse in what are under 1,000, perhaps add them to the sustenance balancer. I'm experimenting with that, and it's been amazing. Some real tangible evidence. And I just don't have the hours in the day to make hundreds of lists. So, okay, I'm doing it for, as many as I can. Mental strength, another one. Don't need that one. Clear non-beneficial resistance. We do want some resistance, but maybe to be a little bit more open to new information, if that's going to work with our enlightenment. Let's see. Not needed at this point, as this particular group. Nope. This was an interesting one. Expand and update logic to deal with the flood of information and misinformation we encounter every day. Yep, we'll take that one. And we're working our way down to an adrenal scan, so this is maybe tedious, but when we get there, let's see. That'll be something new. I just wanted to show you some of these. Okay, nope. So they're holding a lot of this. We got the sustenance balancer for yesterday, and you see it's still. Now, this is an interesting one. Clear repression of creative impulses. What happens with the above when we're just hit with so much? We kind of go down in our own creativity. And that doesn't really serve. So let's see if we still got a little stress from that. No. Release pain and trauma from the past. Again, we can do that. Has anybody been listening to the EFT?
Yes.
Yeah. I have kind of fallen behind. How is it? Is it worth listening to?
Yes.
There's
All right,
some,
I gotta
you have to pick and choose.
That's
Yeah.
what I pick and choose. Maybe
I love it. Love it, love it.
but I love their meditation for the Ukraine. I think that
Oh, yes.
Yes.
gosh, he did a beautiful job with that meditation. So I do that every night, actually, the meditation.
Which one is that in, Nydia?
Well, apparently he's doing it every day.
Okay.
Yeah. At the very end, then it says meditation for the Ukrainians. And
wow. Okay, good. Good. Now, you see this release pain and trauma from the past. We want that in our energy again today. See, so far, I'll have to do a new scan later for the sustenance balance, or we're really not asking for it for much. Well, we'll take that one. You know, it's funny. Usually if I make a comment like that, then so I'm going to go ahead and just put S by that. Now this, a lot of people may not be drawn to this because they associate the Holy Spirit with a bunch of people talking in weird languages. The Holy Spirit was the term used back in those times. You might on your own, excuse me, do some research on the Holy Spirit to see what it really means. That it's a form of guidance that's available. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be, excuse me for saying this, but a holy roller. And we do want this code again. Almost to the bottom. Again, back to some of the childhood issues, which has been deeply programmed in, but can be cleared still. This keeps coming up over and over and over and over and over. I wonder, even it called inappropriate effect on sexual gender by spirit attachment. I wonder even if this is an energetic thing, perhaps our yin and our yang, etc. But it has come up so much that I continue to add it. Remember, the code is always a good thing. If that's close, we'll take it again. This is really a puzzle. But
Cathy, what does that mean actually?
Well, it means that you lose your identity with your sex. In other words, if you're a man, you lose that masculine. I don't really know that it's a physical thing. I think it could be, perhaps, here's an example. Some of the contracts that we make as to what is a man, what is a female. Maybe there's some skewing with that. I'm a little puzzled myself. But it comes up really, and especially anytime we run the Grab-A-Boy. Now, for example, in our case, we didn't want the startup scan again today. The other thing I've been doing at the start of every session is the discarnate scan. We didn't need that today. But when we do want the startup session, and it comes up that we want Grab-A-Boy, that's nearly always one of the things we want.
Wow.
Everybody.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't know that was much help. Now, this is emotional balance. Again, we got that still under control. Psychological stress.
Can I say something about that sexual gender thing?
Yeah, please.
You know, what I think is that in the past, we've all been men and we've all been women.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that there is a confusion, and it could be because maybe our bodies have been manipulated a little bit, just saying. That there's some confusion in that, either that or we understand things differently than what they really are. But I think my deep personal feeling is a lot of it has to do with the fact that we all have been men and women in the past.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. Well, think about how many lifetimes we've all lived.
Yeah.
And, you know, we could have been a frog. Who knows? I mean, I don't really know if we have to be human. I don't know if we can be other things. I don't really know that part. But I know when that I've been both a man and a woman in the past, and I know every reading I've ever had, and they talk about past lives, and maybe other people have gone through this same thing too. I mean, I just had one with Stephen not long ago, and he mentioned 2 men and 1 woman.
Yeah.
You know? And anyway, so that's what I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's a lot of confusion in terms of our expression.
Thank you. I think there's something too that we can check off. So we got a couple of cocktails for actual revocation of the divine feminine and revocation of the divine masculine. I haven't really, something I added, need to investigate, maybe look at that tomorrow. Yeah, there's some kind of stress. That's all I can say at this point, and that very well may be it.
You also may know too that past lives can be healed too.
Correct.
I had a past life regression done on me, and I was a man and a woman. I don't know how many men and I don't know how many women, but moving into this lifetime, I used to be all girl. And I loved wearing dresses, putting on the makeup, getting the hair done, the nails done, the whole 9 yards. Now that I'm a mom, that has all gone out the window, and I have had to learn how to take on the man role to get Audrey to basically listen to me and have that authority of like the fear of God in her. But it fascinates me how I still have that feminine side, but I've had to learn how to be in this lifetime also the masculine side in being a single mom. Very fascinating.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing with being a single mother. You have to be both the male energy and the female.
But we also have to remember that the male-female construct is something that's been taught to us.
Yeah.
That doesn't always make it right or good. I mean, maybe we're all meant to be like that. I mean, we all have a masculine and feminine things that we do. But men especially don't like, in my experience, don't like to have it be said about them that they have, you know, the feminine part of them.
Well, you know, there is an old story told by a shaman, an ancient shaman in Africa, and they keep their, okay, look at, I'll go over all we're taking at Africa. But he talked about, in the beginning, we were all both sexes. And a spaceship came down, and they have drawings of all of this. And they found out pretty soon we were too balanced. They couldn't really keep us in a state of servitude because of that. So they built 2 caves, and I may be skewing this story a bit. Maybe some of you know it better than I do. But they set up 2 caves. One had a red light and one had a green light. And everybody who went in the green light came out a man, and everybody, or rather the red light, and everybody who went in the green came out a woman. So then they have, drawings on the caves of the spaceship and all this stuff. So in antiquity, it's rather interesting and thought-provoking.
A lot of times, I don't know how I got to where I have, but, not having that masculine in your life, and through much prayer and discernment and more prayer, it's like I was able to do these things that normally I would depend on a man for, but it has been a total mind twist about it all.
Yeah, and by the way, we are wanting immune deficiency syndrome in the sustenance balancer. So that is something we're aware of, and we can, wait a minute. But yeah, no, it's quite fascinating, and I know we do have both, but we may somehow through programming or whatever, I mean, I think this is what this is talking about, it's the energies. I'm going to test a couple of cocktails in a minute.
On one of the cable channels, there's a month-long series of women in power throughout history. Something to that effect.
Ooh,
and it's
yeah.
this month. I'll look for it and
Thank you.
maybe
Yes.
I'll do it.
Yes. Yeah, because I know many years ago I read this phenomenal book called When God Was a Woman. And it was an archaeologist who, in her digs, she saw so much evidence that whoever was best qualified, or let's say whatever they called them back then, mayor, leader, etc., it would sometimes be women, sometimes be men, and whoever was best qualified was who did it. And when she tried it, I probably read this book in the 80s. I can't tell you for sure, maybe the 90s. And what happened is that her information would be suppressed. It was quite a good little book. I'm sure it's still around. Anyway, so we go through all of this. We do want a couple of things with the sustenance balancer, but this is our goal, that we can consciously project the reality we desire, and many believe we're built for it. And I'm not talking about a little, you do this a little bit, you do that, or like the example, Christianity came into fashion where, you're supposed to have everything, although it looks like only the ministers end up having everything, their Learjets, etc. That's not what I'm talking about. But we do have, in fact, with this kind of power we can thrive. And that's kind of what I've been working with this thought on the body-mind. Let's see. We'll take that one. Let's just douse that in. Because nobody ever really prepared us for this. And, you try it a few times, maybe it doesn't work. And so you're like, well, that wasn't true. But the key to the whole thing seems to be your cellular voltage. So even with this type of, especially I should say with this type of thing. Well, look at that. We'll take that in the sustenance balancer. Now, as this stuff goes in, I'm still going to add all vitamins, minerals, aminos, etc. This was another one. I haven't seen a code yet, but that's where you want to be. You want to use logic and then imagination. And together, that's a very powerful force. And we've lost, maybe, some of us, our imagination. That we can change what needs to be changed. For example, the situation, look at that we resonate with that. Let's take it. Even, for example, the chronic illness that we see. Let's go and see if we want this in the sustenance balancer. And if anybody wants to peek, there might be a code now. I didn't know until Friday when Kevin led the call that you're not seeing a great big screen, so I'm trying to figure that out. But I'll send out this list. Combined consciousness and action. So that's the other thing that a lot of us don't do. We know what to do, but we don't do it. We never get around to it, maybe because of a sense of overwhelm. Okay, we don't need that at this moment in time. Let's put some of this stuff up Now, I've added a couple of things to get myself in trouble again. I'm not going to put this in the group scan, but I owe Joanna a little apology. She's talked about this Klaus Schwab, and you hear so many things and like whatever. Well, I got to hear him on a YouTube saying out loud what he intends to do, and this took place at the World Economic Forum, and he said it. And so these things, very often, we have the conspiracy theory belief. But this in particular, he said it. Now, this YouTube I put there if anybody wants to hear it. And then to cheer us up a little bit, Sharon said the tapping for $1 million with Brad Yates. And what you can do for fun, let's just look at this. Now, this, of course, is the whole group. You can do it for yourself. Let's just see. Priority or Chi. And we could do a lot with $1 million. No, not for the group, but test yourself individually. So I'll include that. Now, and then the final thing, before we go in back to that owner's manual for the brain, the adrenals, that's what is processing all the signals from the brain that we need. And it's amazing how many people are actually suffering from adrenal fatigue. So we do have a new scan. I don't know, maybe I can talk to Kevin and we can convert it into a cocktail. But this is where the expression, the spirit is willing, but the body is not. And so that could be adrenal stress. We just don't have the fuel. We just don't have the fuel to do what we need to do. For example, maybe you want to get up an hour early and you just can't. Let's see if we want this code. So we can, as Ron said, we can correct anything once we have the awareness, but we got to work at it. Okay, we don't particularly need this code as a group. And then here's a few causes. This is, we'll expand, I'm sure. But exposure to toxic chemicals or pollutants over long periods. Respiratory diseases, if you're always turning around and you've got a cold or whatever, maybe allergies would fall into this, and there is a code for that. Let's see if it's a priority for us today. Again, as I said, we got a lot of this over the weekend, which is why I think we're still running. And remember, the code is a good thing. Nope, don't need it. I'm happy. Now, and then a few other things, as you're familiar with already. Negative relationships, financial struggle, major surgery can do it. Obviously, any kind of substance abuse, prolonged malnutrition, which a lot of us have, and we have no clue. I remember, years ago listening to Bob Hope, who here he was on top of the world monetarily, ended up not feeling well, went to the doctor. It was malnutrition. So how many of us fall into that category? Now, a few things, just when the adrenals are out of balance, your kidneys, there's cancer. This right here, adrenal cortical carcinoma, obviously blood pressure tends to go more low than high, Addison's disease, and just a few things. This was the biggest one that I was surprised at because I used to have this. I don't anymore. Exhaustion during the day, and then all of a sudden at night, a burst of energy. That's a sign of adrenal fatigue. Cravings for salty or sugary foods. Difficulty concentrating. Trouble recovering from illness. So anyway, and just a few solutions. A lot of us, I'm so, grateful for what I do because I love it so much, but if you don't have a career that brings you joy, you're going to have some burnout. Obviously, nutrition. So again, do your own research. A ketogenic diet seems to help. I do want to share, though, I've been reading some things about intermittent fasting that make me wonder if it is beneficial. It may be. We really do need breakfast. Do your own research. High-quality water is a must. We need to avoid gluten and processed foods. We need the right supplementation. We have to be aware, though, that many of our supplements are filled with petroleum products for the little capsules, and that a lot of our health food companies are now owned by pharmaceuticals. Exercise, just walking. You don't want to be doing a lot of rough stuff, but just even walking. And then we've been told so often that sunshine is a negative, and that's not true. How much have we been told that's not true? But more than anything is this commitment where you make up your mind. What do we say? I'm going to make you healthy if it kills you. But anyway, you got the idea. Sometimes it's a little painful, but we've got to make a commitment. Let's just see where we are with that. Okay, we're up, going up to the top, but we still could use a little extra energy. So here is, where are we? Okay, so this is an adrenal fatigue list, and I'll have to again get some thoughts on how best to manage this. But let's just look at us and see real quickly where we are as a group, because this is much more significant than most people realize. I don't know, do the doctors address it now? I know they didn't used to. Does anybody know that about that? It used to be that was just a make-believe thing. That's not what I want to do. And remember, this, as much as anything, is a matter of getting information. So we see some stress related to female hormones. There's adrenals, rundown. That's a common, this constant exhaustion or just rundown is giving you some warning signals. There's a couple of hormones. Now again, this is from the subtle bodies. This is not physical, but you can be quite proactive by beginning to clear this. And this is a big one, the blood flow to the brain, and then another bit of information on hormones. Let's just go ahead right now and add that, and I'll send this out. And we've got some reasons to have a little bit of stress, but if we can use that stress in a positive way, natural law says that's what we're here to do. Let's just see what else we're talking about. Okay, so we still, we have a little toxicity coming our way from many sources. Let's just look and see. This is all stress, all subtle bodies. I know, for example, last night when I was working on myself, it talked about my level of food toxicity, and I thought I was doing pretty good. But if you're eating out over the weekend, okay, that's still significant. We're going to have to look at that. Well, see there, I did again. I didn't start it. My worst thing. I got to sit right there till it scans. So I'm going to, can I do that? Let's give it a 1 minute, and then I'm going to come back in and start over. There's the nervous system, and it can't hurt. Here's what we're asking for today in reference to all this. You see, not much. Yes, therapy and aura scanner. So I think we have it under control. Let's just, as a group, and then any work you do for yourself and you do for others is going to make a huge difference. But let's just look. Balance. Taken 2 hours. The two whichever. Let's look at that. That's another command center. Okay, we're doing better. Then let's copy this now. I don't know if I'm going to have to do another Gong to add some of this. I'm sorry about that. This was what we were doing over the weekend. Now you can see geriatric issues coming up a lot, fungus coming up a lot, triple heater, which you know is our communication center. This protozoa stuff coming up, and then stress related to agony. This is repression. That's, you know, not huge. The subconscious stress. If you don't know where you're going, how do you expect to get there? And we've got some dental stress too that at some point, let's see. Another huge area. And again, what I've been, when you talk with people, and again, Grandmaster emphasized this on Saturday, just go in and hit the wonder click. If you don't have time, that's understandable at this time. But what will happen if you continue that, at some point you're going to get curious and do some of these deeper things. I do it because of that. But the wonder click is really and truly a powerful application that, you know, no matter what, you have time for that.
So what you're saying, you just use a wonder click and that'll do the whole thing.
If you don't have time for anything else, yes. That it's designed and it's getting more and more powerful in that light. But what will happen, this is my own opinion, I think the more effort you put in, the better it's going to be. And so, for example, let's say that you're doing your work, you're doing your wonder click, and this, something like dental, comes up consistently. Do some research, get yourself a book, go to your dentist, etc., etc. See what you can learn, and that then, in my opinion, it magnifies. That's where I've gone. A friend of mine shared the other day, I'll do this real quickly and then let you go. She said she had a guy who was told he was going to lose all his teeth. And what he began to do every night is the oil pulling with coconut oil, you know, we called it swishing, followed by swishing with hydrogen peroxide, and then taking his probiotics. So there may be a lot of simple things. This is going to scan your field and tell you what's out there. What these things are doing is blocking the information that you need to come in so you can create. And so you see, we still, I guess, need to work on this trauma. It's a big deal. We know the thymus as often as it comes up. So when you begin to look at that geriatric issues, as we get the information, it's definitely correcting the stress, but the more we do over and above that, the better, is my opinion. So anything else? Okay, have a great day.
Thank you, Cathy.
Thank you, Cathy.
All right.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Cathy.
Bye-bye.
This concludes the SRC4u Zoom call. Thank you for participating. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.